I don't think this will come to a surprise to anyone, but I kind of like media. A lot. Like an unhealthy, toxic relationship kind of obsession. Books, movies, TV shows, video games, I'll eat it all up. But it got me thinking a bit about the stuff that I do consume. And just like someone concerned that their diet might be a bit too unbalanced, I took a closer look. And what I found was strange. Sure, lots of the stuff I consumed had similar things that I expected: likable characters, compelling plots, awesome twists, but more than that, many things I consumed were chock full of both action and, more concerningly, violence. Now, like any reasonable person, I could simply take this as something exclusive to myself and reflect. After all, I do love superheroes, horror, action movies. But unfortunately, I'm not very reasonable. So in denial, I did some research. And what I found was interesting. One source I consulted, Janik Linder's Violence in Media Statistics, brings up many disturbing facts about the amount of violent media we consume, confirming that I was not the only one absorbing unhealthy amounts of it. From Linder's article, the two most disturbing statistics to me were that 97% of youths play video games that contain violent content, and that exposure to violent media can lead to a 60% increase in aggressive behavior. Linder is nowhere near alone in these claims either. Reputable psychological databases and organizations such as the American Psychological Association and Science Direct have also backed up these claims. No matter where I went, no matter how reputable the source, it was all an echo chamber. Violent media is everywhere. Violent media causes desensitivity. Violent media makes people more prone to aggression. Of course, this is nothing astonishingly new. People, especially parents, have been concerned about video media ever since Pikachus were punching Charizards on the Game Boy back in the 90s. But still, it really got me thinking. I always found it fun to sit back and watch a few characters bash it out in a variety of martial arts, magic, and strategy. But are fight scenes and violence really all that special? Is there some top secret reason for why media companies all over the world refuse to stop the gory pipeline infecting everything we consume? Why are so many modern media products so violent? Blogger Aaron Argott seemed to narrow the argument down into a few concise pieces with his article, Get Ready to Rumble, Analysis of Fight Scenes in Films. In this article, he manages to come up with a few key components that summarize why we as an audience enjoy fight scenes and violence in media so much, along with giving an example, best exemplifying each. These aspects are said to be story progression, theme, build-up, exposition, and of course, spectacle. When I think about it, these are things that I do really enjoy in any scene, whether it's got fists and blood or not. It makes sense that what audiences find enjoyable about these scenes is not the violence itself, but everything that comes with it, what it symbolizes. But to just put to Argott's statements to the test, I too wish to take perhaps one of the most infamous displays of gore in modern television and see if it has the supposed weight behind it that Argott seems to suggest, rather than just being edgy for the sake of being edgy. The animated Amazon series dubbed Invincible has quickly grown to be one of the most popular superhero series in recent times. It seems to be unanimously loved by all who watch it, and I have to admit, after I watched it, I am now also one of those mindless drones. I know, it's boring to say what everyone else on the internet has been saying, but trust me, if you haven't watched Invincible, go do yourself a favor and watch at least season 1 before coming back to this video. Got that? I'll be spoiling one of the best animated series, scratch that, television series to have come around in such a long time. Are they gone? Alright. Here goes nothing. So when you start with Invincible, it tricks you into thinking that it's just your run-of-the-mill superhero cartoon. The first episode is pretty standard superhero stuff. You got your teenage outcast, your goofy best friend, your love interest, your bootleg Justice League. Then it catches you completely off guard. By the end of episode 1, Omni-Man, as the Invincible Universe's stand-in for Superman, brutally murders the premier superhero team known as the Guardians of the Globe. The show does not hold back with its violence. Brains explode, eyes pop out of skulls, and blood is as common as alcohol in a frat house. But, as YouTuber Shafrillis Productions puts it, this couldn't be the peak of Omni-Man's villainy, not if the show wished to keep your attention. This was just episode 1 after all. And of course, as the series goes on, the violence and gore only gets worse. Mark Grayson, aka Invincible, inches closer and closer to death as his battles get more and more extraneous. It isn't people die because he's inexperienced. By the time the series finale rolls around, Invincible is put into a situation where he must fight against his own father, Omni-Man. As hinted as before, Invincible versus Omni-Man is a battle that isn't popular because of its raw action. Rather, it's the emotion and investment that we get from seeing a son battle against his father and watching as millions of innocents die in the process. We have spectacle, watching loads of explosions and destruction take place as two gods amongst humanity duke it out in a world that might as well be made from styrofoam. We get build-up as Omni-Man's villainy is hinted at throughout the entire story as the government and his wife grow more suspicious of his murder of the Guardians of the Globe. We see his power and how he isn't afraid to silence those who stand up against him. We see exposition. We learn why Omni-Man murdered the Guardians of the Globe, as he is an alien conqueror belonging to a superpowered species known as Viltrumites. We have theme, as Omni-Man keeps trying to break Invincible's spirit by showing him that human lives don't matter, and Invincible, staying true to his name, doesn't break. And finally, we gain story progression. So when Omni-Man flees the planet, Earth is in shambles. He has scarred humanity, and his battle with his son has set up the true villains of this TV series, that being the Viltrumite Empire. I feel like I'm missing something that I emphasized at the start of this video. Oh yeah, along with everything that I've mentioned, there is violence on a scale never seen beforehand. Countless civilians and soldiers are all brutally mutilated in scenes that will have even the most stoic people's stomachs churn. But as blogger Brandon Katz points out, the violence in Invincible isn't there to solely be edgy. It is there because it's supposed to show the severity and realism of superhero battles such as these. When we see a dude get socked in the face, it doesn't feel good. It feels sickening. And in my opinion, that is what I think action, and more importantly, violence in media should strive to be. Invincible versus Omni-Man isn't critically acclaimed because of its gore. Rather, the gore is supposed to be the horrific reminder behind the rest of the story elements, guiding the action that make the scene as impactful as it is. Through this separated analysis, I can certainly see the appeal of fight scenes and violence in media. They may be everywhere, but there's a reason for that. Invincible is a show that balances its edginess correctly, but when you have a product that doesn't do that, it stands out like a sore thumb. There's a lot that goes into building a world and characters, even when all it looks like as they're doing is just punching each other in the head. I don't think violence needs to be everywhere and as frequent in media as it is, but I do now understand the advantages of using it appropriately. Good.